Hey gang, so we're going to do a quick kind of elite overview of what we've got in Dawn of War 3 here, starting with the Space Marines. If you've played Company of Heroes 2, you're kind of going to be familiar with the way that they kind of broke things out with the Doctrines on the right here. The elite units are something new though from the Dawn of War franchise. We didn't have that in the past ones. It was typically just you got to have a lord. That was your main lord, and you could also have like a secondary lord, like Space Marines had, who actually is in this. What's his name? Gabriel Angelos, and they also had the secondary, the Psyker, their Librarian. So in this one, you get to choose you get to choose 3 elite units, and as you kind of play and level up, you get these skulls that you can award to unlock more of these elite units that you can use. And if you noticed here, there's currencies for each and every one of them. As you play the game, you get more elite currencies. You get more currency for killing other elites. The game has escalation phases that it goes through, and it gives everyone resources and the whatnot. So let's kind of just go over into Gabriel Angelos here. He's a melee infantry unit that specializes in high area of effect damage and disruption. Gabriel's legendary hammer, God Splitter, charges up over time, imbuing his abilities with traditional properties. My limited play testing of Gabriel was not favorable. I didn't really enjoy him that much. I found that he was getting killed pretty quickly. From a competitive standpoint, I wouldn't see him... Maybe, again, it's so early in the game, maybe where I'm not using him properly, or there's more synergies and whatnot that I have to get used to, or maybe he has to be used more with assault troops and what have you. But just from an initial playthrough, having played the game maybe 4 or 5 times now, I didn't really like him as much as some of the other elite choices. But he gets Retribution. Gabriel swings his hammer around, causing knockback and damage in a circle. Creates a barrier that absorbs shots and reflects projectiles. The barrier's duration is increased by each charge of God Splitter. And God Splitter. Gabriel jumps to the target, causing knockback and stun in a circle. Increases speed after landing. You can see on the right side of this little tooltip, it shows you what it does. Knockback, stun, speed increase, normal damage, jump, and circle the air. It gives you a circle area damage. Critical strike. Gabriel delivers a powerful blow every 8th melee attack. And remember that 8, where it's going to come useful down the line here. Causes damage and knockback in a circle. Each charge of God Splitter reduces the damage of attacks required to critical strike by 1. So, as he builds charges, that 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 just kind of goes down. But the cool thing here is there's an actual progression system. So as you use this Lord in multiplayer, they actually get levels for fighting. And you need to actually fight with them. You can't just have them selected and not actually ever summon them. You have to actually get down and dirty. So, okay, level 2, I get some skulls. Level 3, though, you get a different elite doctrine. The Dreadnought Slam ability creates a temporary barrier, absorbs shots, and reflect projectiles. So it's kind of cool. It rewards you for playing with a certain play style more and more over time, because, maybe someone who picked up the game, they're not going to have access to this, or, well, at least they're not going to have the Mastery Skin, or the Hero's Mark, stuff like that. So most of it looks aesthetic, because these doctrines aren't going to be game breaking necessarily, but they will definitely help give you a certain edge if you build into them and towards them. You also get really cool little secondary skins. Like, look at that. Oh yeah, you get an all deep black. What's the mastery skin look like? So that was his mastery skin. Here's his... oh, this is his mastery skin. Look at all that gold. I like gold. But that's Gabriel Angelos, and so he's got 4 elite points to bring into battle. And when you bring them into battle, you click the button and you target a certain location. There's certain restrictions depending on what the elite is. And boop, out he comes. But let's jump on into... these guys are one of my favorites, the Kill Team Iron Maw. So I, in general, love Deathwatch. They're one of the coolest units from lore. If you know anything about the Warhammer lore, basically the Inquisition... every Space Marine chapter will send one of their soldiers out to fight in the Deathwatch. And the Deathwatch basically acts as, in the Ordo Xenos, which is used against aliens. Ordo Xenos, Order of Aliens, basically. And there's the Ordo Malleus, there's the Ordo Hereticus, there's the Ordo Xenos. And basically, if you look at the lore, you get these guys are good at killing Tyranids and Greenskins. Basically, there are certain teams that are used to infiltrate and kill strategic lords or strategic hive minds, whatever, hive tyrants, what have you. And I hope they add Grey Knights into this, at least as a elite unit, because they'd be sweet. Because the Grey Knights are meant for just slaying demons. But unless they add chaos, hint hint, I wouldn't see them in this. But the Deathwatch are really cool because they only cost 2 elite points, and they're a very like souped up tactical squad. And for the Marines, the tactical squad are very bread and butter. You can spam tactical squads and pretty much win the game if you use them right, because you can mix up what their infantry, what their weapons are, either plasma guns for heavy armor or flame throwers for normal armor. And one thing, if you've ever played any of the other Dawn of Wars, you should know the Flamer is effective against Space Marines. In other Dawn of Wars, that's not true. Heavy bolters and flamers were not what you would use against Space Marines. You'd use plasma, rocket launcher, and las cannons. In this, flamers are normal armor because tactical squads, Space Marines in general, are considered normal armor. So that is a big heads up if you played previous Dawn of War stuff. But you can upgrade to the Malleus Tactics. Research this unit upgrade, giving one squad member a missile launcher that deals armor-piercing damage, which is extremely powerful. There was a Whirlwind tank at 75% health. Watch this guy just plant on his knee, shoot that rocket, boom, blew it up. It was awesome. You can also get Furor Tactics. Research this unit upgrade, giving one squad member a flamer that deals normal damage in a cone. Nice thing about 40k versus the Warhammer Fantasy Universe, it's all in Latin type stuff, like Ordo Xenos is Latin, whereas everything in Warhammer Fantasy for the most part is some German derivative. I don't know German, I do know Latin, so point for me. But here's a really awesome ability that couples really well with the Assault Terminators that we're going to get into next. It's the Vortex Grenade. The Deathwatch throw a Vortex Grenade at the target position, causes slow, and applies a marked for death debuff in a circle. Units marked for death take percentage damage over time, refreshing the debuff when they are attacked by the Deathwatch. So, real powerful ability. So even if you have Angelos, you can use his charge or his leap ability to smack someone in the air and stun them for a little bit. Or if you have the Assault Terminators, they can smash the ground and stun people. During that time, you toss a Vortex Grenade in there, you're getting the DOT, or the dot, damage from this, and the stacking debuff that refreshes every time they're shooting at them. So just 2 elite units can really muck through a lot of infantry with that. And this is a cool ability too. So the Teleport Homer, when you cast it, it basically sends them back into your elite queue that you can then summon back at full strength. But if this ability is cancelled or interrupted, the cooldown is set for 30 seconds. It shows you, okay, its cooldown significantly reduced, allowing them to quickly redeploy and pick a new upgrade package. So let's just say early game, you went with Furor Tactics and they're down to 2 of their 5. Well, you can pop this Teleport Homer, then summon them back in. I think within like 30 seconds. They only cost 2 elite points, and then put them in their Malleus Tactics to fight against anti-vehicles at that point. So very strong. I see them being used a lot in any kind of Space Marine competitive elite build. I love them. I personally really enjoy this unit, probably the most of anything I've tried so far. What does their master skin look like? Let's take a look. Ooh, look at that! That's sick. It adds the range finders on there. It'd be cool if they put like Auspex on their shoulder, or I'm sorry, on their belts or something like that. That's really cool. Oh, there we go. There, Auspex. That's nice. That's really rad. I like what they did here. I'll do a separate video on the Army Painter. I'm a little disappointed in the Army Painter not being as quote-unquote granular, because I play, I think it's the Carmine Blades, which are a successor chapter of Blood Angels, and they've got helmets that are colored differently than the rest of their armor. So I wanted that feature. I think looks really sharp on Space Marines. But we'll jump into the Assault Terminators. I was really down with. They are rad. They're just so tanky. You pop them in, and their defense is, I don't know what this really equates to as far as the grand scheme of things, but they're really strong with this Hammer Slam. Causes damage, stun, and slow in a circle, which is just mean when you get them up close, because you'll notice that a lot of firing lines really establish themselves in this game, because people like to jump to tactical squads pretty well, pretty much everyone's playing Space Marines right now, so people always jump to tactical squads because it's just bread and butter. But if you get in there close with a hammer slam, with that vortex grenade like I was talking about, you just blow through their armies so quick. It's so awesome. I haven't gotten a chance to really use teleport because I just kind of want them to absorb damage as they charge through the fray. They really do soak up a ton of damage. You have to focus fire these guys down. At 7 points, they're pretty pricey, but they also get this critical strike ability. You're noticing that Gabriel Angelos's his was on his 8th melee attack. This is on 6, so that's kind of nice. But of course, this doesn't cascade down. But you'll notice too that Assault Terminators, as you level them up, you'll get this doctrine unlocked. Tactical Marines throw a grenade at the target position, causes knockback and damage in a circle. When reaching level 8, this doctrine is unlocked to be equipped as an army doctrine. Oh, so that's cool. That's not just applied to these guys, it's to the army as a whole. So that's great, because this one, when the Assault Terminators are deployed, this is just Tactical Marines in general now have frag grenades, which is powerful because we'll jump away from these guys because we got them pretty closely here. But you'll notice that each one of these has a doctrine associated with them when they're deployed. When the Assault Marine Terminators are deployed, Deathwatch can be deployed anywhere you have vision. When Solaria is deployed. So you see that there are advantages not only just from these units themselves, but to synergies within your army. So maybe if I have Solaria, I'm going to get a lot more whirlwinds, so to really just pepper people with artillery, which I'll save her for last. You know, she's the big one. Everyone wants to know about her. So Librarian Jonah Orion here. So from my experience with Jonah, he's better kept in the back line, defending your tanks, defending your Tactical Marines, defending your Predators, because he's got this ability here, Stonewall. Jonah erects a magical barrier in a circle around himself, blocks movement and absorbs shots that pass through it. Fury of the Ancients and Emperor's Light are altered when cast inside Stonewall. So these two abilities get better qualities when they're within that. Within Stonewall. So Jonah calls forth the Emperor's Light, increases damage of allies while disabling attacks, blinding and silencing enemies in an expanding circle. So again, you have a Tactical Marines, Devastator squads, Predator Annihilators, just hammering the opponent with him in the background, popping this and then this. They're going to start pouring it on pretty heavy and pretty hot and heavy. Don't use Librarians like you would in tabletop. They are not tanky at all, as you can see. No offense, no defense, very high difficulty. So they require a lot more micro, and they really require you to keep them at like a medium to long range with the rest of your back line. Fury of the Ancients. Jonah uses his familiar to manifest arcs of lightning, causes damage and increases speed of allies. Increases allies' speed. Oh wait, what the hell? Increases speed of allies in a line. That's just weird wording. So yeah, this has got a line. It's an align ability, so it only shoots in a straight line in front of him. It's got a little cherub here, a little cherubim. That is his really cool familiar, which is a nice little touch. I really like what they did for a lot of these units, because if you play the tabletop, they're pretty, spot on. In fact, I think this guy almost looks exactly like one of the models. But let's pop him into his master gear here. Oh yeah, look at that. A lot more gold. I didn't show you guys the Assault Terminator Master one, and I'll go back to that. But passive is Zeal, so Jonah gains a charge when using abilities that decay over time. Each charge increases attack speed. So, again, very difficult character to use, but very rewarding if you can get his abilities down right, because he can really bolster a back line. Really bolster a back line. Let's take a look at those Terminators real quick for you guys, so you can see the Master skin on that. I don't want to leave you hanging. Ain't gonna do it. It's not my choice. Master skin, there we go. Yeah, look at that. They get their what's it called, the Crozius on their arms there. They got a big fat army symbol there. Pretty cool. Look at those thunder hammers, just looking a lot more intimidating. It'd be cool though if it kind of recognized, the Space Wolves, and it gave them wolf pelts. I went with Space Wolves because that's like one of my favorite armies next to Blood Angels, but they got a pretty interesting look too with their gold helmets, which is again pretty. I've never painted them like that. My Space Wolves had their armor painted the way that they're supposed to be, but then at their boots, I took white and like dry brushed it so it looked like they were slogging through snow, because the Fenris, the planet that the Space Wolves are from, is covered in snow. It's a snow death planet. It's pretty rad. But let's go to the most important model, the Imperial Knights, Solaria. So I haven't gotten a chance to summon her. I was using Angelos and the Librarian for a lot of my matches, but I've had her summoned against me, and she's pretty damn beastly. But she's pretty easy to get focused down. Like any big creature, she's big, she's fat, she's on the map. It's easy just to target her. You see the damage she's gonna unleash with the Gatling barrage, because it places a large token on the ground below her in the cone area. So you've got some very split second to like scatter away from it, but it does a pretty devastating amount of damage. And with the way that some of the maps are, it's very easy to get kind of clumped up in very, very close proximity, so you have to really watch out for Gatling barrage. I see her not really as great in competitive play, just because it takes so long to get her out. By the time you can get her out, the army is going to have a lot of hard counters for her, so she's going to need a lot of backup. Whereas the other three, well, I guess, yeah, 2 or 3 that I've kind of looked at already, they, like these guys right here. Sorry, my train of thought there. These 2 I've noticed, they don't require as much to get out. They can really hold their own. I enjoy them a little bit more than I do her, but Solaria is just so awesome as a unit that, I mean, like, how can you not? Look at that. Look how fucking awesome that is. Imperial Knights were added pretty recently into Warhammer. When I was first playing, they were not there. I think they came in we're on the 7th edition, about to hit 8th, so I think they came in I want to say the 6th edition, or maybe they even came in the 7th. So someone, when they were launched, someone feel free to comment and let me know if it was 7th when they came out. But they're pretty new. I think only about 2-year-old unit / model, and Games Workshop's been going balls deep with them. I mean, look at them. They're pretty fucking rad. Every single army now has got one really big unit like this, like the Tau have one, and the Eldar have one, as you guys have seen in the Wraith Knight. So it's really cool to see these things. But her other ability, Iron Storm Missiles, which was really awesome. This was used against me and just decimated my back line. But Solaria fires up to 6 of her missiles on independent target positions, causes damage in a circle. Cooldown is reduced for each missile not fired. When overheated, Solaria's missiles burn the ground, cause damage over time, and slow in a circle. So it's just important to know that ability, that damage over the ground, is easy to kind of like, oh, it's going to be some damage. It will really eat through your low tier units pretty fast. And it says, overheat, so I'll go into that mechanic. Solaria generates heat when firing or using abilities. When overheated, Solaria is slowed but deals increased damage. So she pops off 2-3 missiles. She kind of gets a little overheated. She starts doing more damage, but she becomes an easier target. So I was saying my backline got decimated by this. Well, I still had enough Predator Annihilators to bring her down quickly. So you kind of really have to balance out with Solaria, because she's so decimating, how to really use her and to make sure you keep her supported, or else she's really just going to falter pretty quickly. So let's do her mastery skin here. Oh yes, more gold. Fat rockets on her back. I really dig this, the Dark Queen. This is what comes when you pre-order the game. You get this skin here, which is really rad. Look at that skull and everything. The ornate little stabbies in the back. The Mechanica symbol. That's just rad. I really like the detail they put into this. I mean, all these games, they've got Games Workshop themselves. They don't skimp when people make their games. They're like, you have to put every little bit of detail from our universe into this game. We've already done the hard work of conceptualizing it and making it into models for you. You just got to put it into 3D Studio Max. So it's really awesome to see these little things, because it's like, it's just flavor for me. Like, okay, I see these little symbols and it means more for me than it would just the person just playing these as an RTS, but it's still really awesome to see. And if you're a fan of the tabletop, I'm sure you're nerdgasming me out as hard as I am too. But that kind of goes through the elite units here for the Space Marines. They do have some doctrines as well. The slow death, so that makes it so the flamers, slow infantry and immobilized vehicles. That is so powerful, because it makes your transition from early to late game less of a hindrance on you, because your flamers can still put up a threat against vehicles. So if you have a bunch of tactical marines all with flamers, they're not going to be doing a ton of damage to vehicles, but they can at least immobilize them to help out with the units that can damage vehicles. So it really helps out, and it slows down infantry. So if you have orcs slogging towards you, it makes them easier to pick off, and it gets that crucial time in between close combat and range combat. It increases that window. Another cool ability is Overwatch, so you can set your scout snipers to basically just pick off anything that goes into a distance. And they build up charges, which is really, really awesome too, because they get bonuses for those. So, two cool dynamics off the bat, two different play styles. You know, this is more aggressive, this is kind of more of a defensive, or watching over a capture point, which is really awesome. You've got more to the frag grenade, and these unlock as you level up your lords, like blind grenades and fire on the move, which is really powerful. Your guys can just keep firing while they're running, but they don't fire rapid fire. From the tabletop, you can fire rapid fire or one burst or a single shot. Same thing in this. If you're running on the move, you fire one shot. If you're sitting there, you're just unloading full clip. But the doctrines are divided. You have one army, one vehicles and walkers, and one structure doctrine. The structure ones are pretty awesome. This one makes it so that you have improved listening posts. Listening posts you place on resource nodes. In previous Dawn of Wars, they increased the amount of resources you got from the node. Not true in this one. It just makes it so that it's hard to capture. Improved listening posts will make it so that people can't just troll around and harass and steal your nodes. This at least kind of levels the playing field for you. It makes it so they have to bring a little bit more to the fore to get those nodes. But a nice one that I use is Blessing of the Omnissiah, which makes it so that production structures and listening posts heal you and your allies' vehicles, which is pretty damn awesome. You'll notice that vehicles are not very tanky, and they fall apart pretty quickly. So this is a really nice way to keep them on the battlefield. For vehicles and walkers, though, we have Ablative Armor for Predators, which gives them a shield that regenerates. Can't express how awesome that is, because again, they're not very tanky, and they can be brought down pretty quick, just like in tabletop. So you really got to make sure that you're either defending them, keeping them in a back line, or supporting them properly. This is a great doctrine you can use to do so. And last ability here is Invigorating Slam. Activating Slam invigorates the Dreadnought. Grants a temporary shield that increases speed while active. It's only implied while Invigorating Slam has a charge. So I really enjoy the Dreadnoughts because you can drop ship them, you can drop pod them in. In fact, almost all of these things you can drop pod in once you research a certain level of technology. So you can drop pod in your Dreadnoughts and really go to town on an army not suspecting it, or harass their back line. So it's a great way to cause a lot of chaos and break that kind of standard format of, okay, my melee and my range is engaged, I'll be okay. Like, no, now your range is engaged with my Dreadnought. But here's everything for the Space Marine guys. I'll do another one on the Orcs, another one on the Eldar, but thanks for watching. Be on the lookout for more Dawn of War goodies. We got a stream coming up on Sunday, and we also are going to be doing some more Warhammer Total War. We got more campaign coming up and more lore videos. So be on the lookout. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.